Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. After saying that and greeting like that last time, because I don't know what time of day it is that you're watching this, I also said that for the next 15 minutes. And then I said, well, it could be 20, it could be 10. I have no idea. And it ended up being 30 minutes. Surprise, sorry for that. In the cover note before you watch the video, you may have read the apology saying this is a 30-minute video. I really didn't expect to go on for that long. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to go on for 30 minutes again, but let's try and keep this more concise and to the point. I do think that what we covered in video one and week one support was important because it was really so much a review of the first 21 modules and completing and filling in gaps and doing what we needed to before getting into this week, which is really more about action than anything. Week one was so much preparation. This is so much about doing. So without further teasing, grab your pens, grab your paper, grab your highlighters, grab your paint brushes for all I care. As long as you take notes, if you're working digitally, open up the notepad, open up your document that you were using and add to it. I'm going to be going through things one at a time, but fairly quickly. I'm going to be moving at pace. There will be notes to take. Just watching this video and going about your week is not enough. You need to take notes. You need to cross-reference work that you did in the respective modules, and you need to put all of that together and go forward. This is not just about action. It's about you holding yourself accountable. If you're not holding yourself accountable, well, who is? Yes, I suggested and invited you to bring on an accountability partner, and we'll talk about that just now. But you also need to take responsibility for stepping into and taking action. Okay, so are you ready? This is really so much about adopting and executing the approach, connect, invite model. It's not just one of those three aspects. It's the circular model going round and around and around. You will be enacting and practicing this model over and over and over and over from now. Are you good with that? If there's anything about that model that you are unsure about, go back to the modules, go back specifically to the approach, and make sure that you have the detail around which approaches you're adopting. I suggested 3 to 5. Go back to the module on connection. Go back to the module on invite, where I introduced this model as well. And go back to your financial plan, because your financial plan, your prospecting plan, I'm sorry about financial planning. Your prospecting plan is about taking all of this and creating an executionable, that's not the right word, an executable plan that you can roll out immediately. Okay, and you tweaked it last week. You consolidated the learnings. You made sure that everything was in place so that you could execute this week. And that's where you are. Go back to your goals. Your goals will drive you and they will pull you. Your goals give you the direction, both professional and personal. Make sure that you've got your goals top of mind so that everything you do is in pursuit of that goals. You know what it's all about. Okay, at the end of the day, what's it all about? Those are your goals. This is the time to increase your prospecting activity. Whatever you were doing, do more. I'm talking about like before the course, do more. You've got your goals around activity, pursue those goals. Blow out of the goals. I would love for you to have reason to increase those goals because you're doing so much more. But go back to the goals that you set around approach and firsts. This is the time to pursue them relentlessly. Start tracking your approaches and start tracking your firsts. You want a good hit rate. Of all the approaches you make, you want the highest percentage of first meetings to come out of those. If there's a gap between the two, you want to understand why there's a gap, do some analysis on that and bring that gap much closer. The closer that gap is, in other words, the closer the number of approaches relative to the number of first meetings that you secure, the more effective your prospecting. Start to manage your tracker, okay? Wherever it is, however it is, manage that. Keep your affirmations going through all of this. I keep bringing this up, I know. In my experience, by the way, I'll share this with you. Consistent repetition of affirmations with absolute commitment and dedication, takes about a month for you to start feeling and experiencing the effect of that repetition. Okay, side note. Ensure that your structure and routine that you've set up for yourself is being adhered to. When do you start your day? How does your day go about? And how do you end your day? And all of the detail in between. And how does that structure and routine support you to be the prospector that you need to be and go out there and do the prospecting? Keep your eye on the ball. You're here for a reason. You've gone all the way through the modules and you're here on week 2 of support for a reason. Keep your eye on that ball. Know what your objectives are. Relentless pursuit. Manage that pipeline in detail because of the deals. It's no use just kind of having name, short note. Remember the requisites of this prospecting pipeline. You need the detail so that when you follow up, you don't just have to trust in your memory, the memory that you might rely upon for all of the potential clients you're speaking to. Have it in your format on your system so that you know what you spoke about, when you spoke about it, who's court the ball is in, who needs to take the next action, what that action is, and how that action is going to be taken. Don't repeat conversations you've had with clients. Don't ask clients the same thing over and over. Don't say something you've said before. The pipeline will manage this, both the content and the actions around that content. Notice where you are holding back. I mentioned this in quite some detail in module 21 as well as we were ending off. I want you to catch yourself getting in your own way. Where are you holding back? Just be aware of it. You don't have to judge or criticize or conclude around it. Just be aware of it, because simply being aware, noticing that you're holding back will automatically result in your adjusting your way of being to change your action around that. Notice where your fear shows up. Again, don't get judgmental or critical around that. Just notice where your fear shows up. You can notice how it shows up as well. Kind of be interested in it. Like, oh, okay, I see fear showing up. That's all I want. Nothing more complicated than that. Notice the excuses that you come up with. You've got an excuse buster. If it's one of the excuses that you recognize from the excuse buster, go back and bust that excuse. If it's not one that I wrote out, then write it down and bust it yourself. If you reference my document, you'll see how I go about busting these excuses. You got to do the same, exactly the same. Notice when you're busy. I want you to notice when you're busy or too busy, because you know how I feel about busyness. We discussed that. I, in fact, discussed that over 2 modules. If you're too busy to prospect, something is wrong. Notice how you're putting admin ahead of prospecting or anything else, because admin's easier, right? You can just immerse yourself in admin, and suddenly you're too busy to do anything else, even the important stuff, because you have so much admin. Notice when you come up with the admin excuse. Notice when you're wasting time. Notice when you are creating or living into or letting bad habits get in front of you, and notice when you're distracted. You could be committed to working with something in particular, prospecting or something else, but you might be distracted by anything. Oh, look, there's someone walking by my window. I'm going to stare at that person who's now sitting down and eating a meal on the other side of the window. And I've just exited my consciousness around what I'm doing, and it's going to take me time to get my head back into it. Distractions are not just for the moment. These distractions are wrapped in time, and it takes time to get back into what you were doing. If you chose to enroll an accountability partner, work closely with that person, get them on board so that they get what you're doing and you can support them in doing something similar. If they haven't taken this course, get them on the course, because then they'll have a better understanding of where you are and how you're going about things and why, your reasons for. Either way, just make sure that you're managing this relationship and you are challenging that accountability partner as much as he or she is challenging you. It's got to be reciprocal. It's a game that you play that benefits both of you, so you've got to both be in that game. Okay? Tweak anything that needs to be tweaked. Now, You completed everything last week, but this week, if there's anything that needs to be tweaked or adjusted, like for example, you're realizing that one of your goals is too small, well, raise the goal. You're realizing that you were a little bit kind to yourself on the activity. So maybe making X number of approaches is actually quite easy for you, so increase it. I would like to see you increasing things up, tweaking things up, not tweaking things down. The likeliness, 99.98% of the time, is that the goals you set yourself with respect to anything are too low, not too high. The likeliness is that you don't need to adjust down, you need to adjust up so that you're challenged more. And when you're challenged more, you take more action on the back of that challenge in pursuit of what you want. The bigger the goal, the bigger the action. Good? Notice which approaches are working for you and which are not. So you may have this plan with 3 to 5 approaches. Well, maybe you need to revise that plan because one is simply not working for you or not working well enough for you. Maybe another one is working so well relative to another that you want to do more of that. Well, you can do that. You can switch it around. But also notice within that specific approach what's not working or what is working, because you can get better at that approach. You may have a specific strategy that you're embarking on every single day, multiple times a day, but you know that you can be better at doing that. That's what I'm talking about. Get better at doing it. Okay? I'm going to ask you some questions here. Some questions that I'm asking you now, but you need to ask yourself all the time because this is that ongoing journey. Are you targeting the right clients? You set up or you created your ideal clients and your immediate clients because you went through a process with me. Well, are they correct? Now that you're out there approaching and connecting with and inviting, are you targeting the right clients? Do you need to revise this or change it or adjust it or tweak it? Even just one tiny bit, maybe of all the demographics and psychographics that you listed, maybe there's just one that needs to come out and one that needs to come in. These tiny little adjustments to something can make the world of difference. Don't be afraid. Don't look over it because it's just that tiny little thing or you'll remember it or whatever it is. Go back to the work and make the change there. Make the change, write it, see it, discuss it with yourself, discuss it with other people so that you see it, you hear it, you feel it, and you start to act upon it. Targeting clients is one thing, but are you finding the right clients? Because you can go out there and seek to approach, but are you finding them? Remember, you still have to take your value proposition to your markets. Well, where is your market? If you're not finding them, you need to adjust your strategy so that you can find them. The strategy is probably sound, but within that strategy, you just need to make an adjustment. You need to tweak once again. Okay? Are your approaches working? Well, if they're not, you need to sit back and have that honest, transparent conversation with yourself. What's working? What isn't working? What is amazing? What's broken? What needs to be fixed? What about my approach needs to be tweaked or adjusted so that it's more so that it is more successful? I'm getting very excited with my words over here. Are you sticking to your guns? If you don't know the saying, what I mean is like, you've got a plan. Are you sticking to the plan? Everything you set out to do in the way that you set out to do it, are you doing that? Or are you drifting? Because it's easier to go, I have this big plan, it's perfect, it's amazing, but I have so much admin, or I'm tired, or I hurt myself mountain biking yesterday and I'm sore. By the way, this particular video right now, I'm filming on a public holiday. Everyone else is braaiing or out to lunch or mountain biking. Everyone else is doing something. I put on a formal shirt and I came to the office because this is what I need to do today. No excuses. Absolutely no excuses. This is me. I don't expect you to work on a public holiday, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm demonstrating this to you because I am in pursuit of my goals and my objectives. I have a plan as to how I'm going to do that. And you will be the same with your prospecting. How's your pitch working? Remember, your pitch is effectively or as a result of your value proposition. If you did the work to the letter in that module, your value proposition is probably on the mark. Your elevator pitch version of your value proposition, which is really your value proposition communicated to potential clients, that may need some work. And if it does, don't worry, because that comes with practice. And it's not the same every time, because I listed 6 or 7 things that make this up, but you may only contain 3 or 4 things with a particular person, maybe 2 or 3 things with another person. And whether you're speaking to someone casually or formally, someone you have met or have never met, it will change. It's practice. You need to be versatile with this pitch. You need to be able to take the core and the essence of it and apply it differently in different scenarios with different people. Be patient with yourself. I was going to ask you if you're adapting on the fly. I like that. I mean, if you can think about it like that, I have my pitch, but am I adapting it on the fly? But I just mentioned that. Are you this week dedicating time to prospecting? Remember, structure routine provides you with time, or provides you or guides you with the need to create the time to prospect. So are you in fact dedicating the time to prospecting? You're dedicating this time to watching this video right now. Every single day you need to be dedicating time to approaching, connecting, and inviting, and ultimately, once successful, having those first meetings, and then of course, as a result, following up on those first meetings and going through the financial planning process to do the business. Are you in connection? This week, you need to be in connection. So it's not just on the back of the approaches that you're going to be connecting with people. I want you to be in connection all the time, wherever you go. Take breaks, of course, you know, you're not going to be connecting with everyone around you all the time, but I want you to be in connection all the time, not connecting with people all the time, if you understand what I'm saying. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, be in connection. There's someone around you, be in connection so that you have the choice to connect with that person or not. You don't have to connect with that person, but be in connection. It's a state of mind. It's a way of being. You get that? If part of, or if one of your prospecting strategies, that's part of your prospecting plan for these 6 weeks, is to run an event, the invitations should be going out this week. Last week was about designing the event. This week is about sending out the invitations. This, I suppose, is day 1 of these 7 days, of which you might be working for 5 of them, whatever your situation. My point is that last week you designed an event. This week you're sending out the invitations. This is week 2. The event is in week 5. So it gives you from now 4 weeks to send the invitations and execute on all of the planning to deliver the event in the 5th week of the 6-week support period. Okay, so make sure those invitations are ready, professional, free of typos and grammatical errors. I see so much of that. And send them out, however you send them out, according to your plan. Get involved in the Facebook group. If you haven't been involved and you've just registered or joined the group, time to get involved. I hope that you put up your elevator pitch. I hope that you've posted a thing or 2. I hope that you're communicative and responsive and interactive. But if you're not, this is the time to start doing that. And what I would challenge you to do now, this week, and in the Facebook group, is post on some awesome stuff that you've done. Prospecting, of course. Post on some awesome prospecting activity that you've embarked on, whatever it is. It could be that you had the most creative approach. It could be that you had the most moving connection with someone. As long as it's awesome, post on that. Post on, but don't dwell on, some of the toughest stuff. Whatever it is, mindset, action, just put it out there. See if anyone else is dealing with it, start a conversation around it, but move out of that as soon as you can, okay? I put this tough stuff there, have a conversation and move out of it back to the positive, because tough is good, but stick to the facts. Don't get caught up in the negativity of it and enter into some downward spiral. Pull out of it, get what you want, pull out of it and move to positive. And the third thing that you could post and discuss in this group is where and how you're holding back or getting in your own way, because other people will relate to this. And it's always interesting to kind of raise something and realize that you're not alone. Other people are experiencing exactly the same thing. So do that. Get on the Facebook group and get the interactivity going. That's it from me for week 2. All the best, and I will see you in a week for week 3 of support.